Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shalin and this is Viran, and today we're going to do a shoe review of the SAUCONY Ride 15, a shoe that I've done over 600 kilometers of running in, and a shoe that's now available at quite a big discount since its release price, as it's a 2022 model. Let's take a closer look at it. So you may be wondering why we're talking about this shoe here when the new model has just been announced, the Ride 16. So this is the 2022 model from Saucony, and I feel this review is still valid today because the updates to the shoe are minimal. It's the exact same outsole rubber, the exact same midsole. The changes that have been made are just to the upper mesh to make it a little more flexible from what I understand, and they've given it a two-tone colorway as opposed to just one color all the way around. So this is still a very good shoe, very similar in feel and look to the current model, but it's been heavily discounted. You can pick this up at about $84 now, and I'll tag a screenshot of the purchase I just made recently, reduced down from $160, which is what the price of the new shoe is. You're essentially getting the same shoe as the current model, just at almost half the price. The Saucony Ride 15 is a daily trainer, and it's a neutral daily trainer, meaning it's for those with a neutral foot strike. So let's run through some of the key specs about the shoe. We'll start with the stack height. It's got 35 millimeters of stack in the heel, 27 here in the forefoot. So that gives a drop of 8 millimeters, which is a drop that's seen across several different racing shoes or longer distance shoes. That 8 millimeter drop or offset is particularly good to take some of the stress away from your calf muscles. So it is good over the longer distances to keep your legs fresh. The weight of the shoe listed on Saucony's website is 238 grams, which would have variation based on your size between men and women, but it is generally considered light compared to some of the daily trainers from the other brands. The midsole, this foamy bit, the white bit that you see, this is made of power run cushioning from Saucony. This is their standard kind of midsole material that they use. It's not as soft as some of their other shoes, but for a daily trainer, I feel it does the job very well. The sock liner that they put inside, this is a pretty premium product here. This is made of the Power Run Plus foam that's found in the Triumph series. Very cushy, very thick. This adds a good 6 or 7 millimeters to the cushioning of the shoe and gives it a lot of comfort inside. This is a very premium product right here. Finally, we talk about the upper, and this is where most of the differences are between this model and the new one. On the Ride 15, the upper is composed of this mesh that's pretty well ventilated, and I haven't had any problems of overheating in the shoe. I've run in pretty warm weather out here in Kenya, at the coast in 30 plus degrees centigrade weather, as well as in some colder weather. I was in Europe, in Spain, earlier this year for Christmas, and temperatures were quite low there, just above zero, and I was quite okay in this shoe in all conditions. So the upper does a very good job of keeping the foot warm. Now, the comfort is the first thing you'll notice with this shoe. It's one of the more comfortable shoes out there. It's got a very good cushioning around the heel, around the tongue, very good lockdown from the laces. The foot doesn't slip, the tongue does not move around when you're running. Overall, I've been very satisfied with the comfort of the shoe, and it's one of the more comfortable ones out there. So comfortable that I have more than one pair of the same. The previous video on my channel is talking about how to buy a first pair of running shoes. This here was the first running shoe for me. This was the one that I spoke about that I was recommended by the shoe shop. Now, I've been using this shoe primarily, or initially, as my only running shoe. I did all my training in this for about 4 to 5 months, and then I ran my first full marathon in the same shoe, which was the New York Marathon in November last year. Since then, I have added a couple of extra shoes to my shoe rotation, which I'll talk about in future videos. So now this is for me more of a daily trainer. It's still the shoe I reach for most of my daily runs, 2 to 3 times a week, with the exception of perhaps my long run that I do once a week. And I'll talk you through some of the things I like about it, some of the things I don't like about it, and things that are just okay for me. Starting with the likes. The fit on the foot, how it holds your foot in the shoe, the lack of movement, lack of slippage. Haven't had any issues with blisters, hot spots. Just generally a very comfortable shoe to run in. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's not the most cushioned shoe out on the market, but I haven't had any issues with knee pain, joint pains, any aches and niggles after running in this shoe, and I have put some long runs in this. I actually did use it for a marathon, like I said earlier, a full marathon. So I've generally been very happy with this shoe. I would say that it takes a bit of time to break into the shoe. When you first run it feels a little bit stiff, and it takes about 20 to 30 kilometers to get a bit of flexibility in the forefoot. So go slow, go easy on those first few runs. Let your foot and your body get the feel of running in the shoe here. So with regard to dislikes, there's nothing that I really dislike about the shoe, but I would say in some areas it's just okay or just average. Firstly, it's the fact that it takes a few kilometers to just break into the shoe and get the feel of it. Like I said, about 30 kilometers before I felt comfortable in it. So that was my first 3 to 4 short runs until I could really put some mileage on the shoe. The second thing is that it's got quite a hard midsole. It's not the shoe for you if you want something very soft and cushy, and it does take some getting used to if it's your first time using a shoe with a slightly harder midsole. It does a great job on the road, but it does take a while just getting used to the feel of that. The next thing is in regards to the durability of the outsole, these rubbers over here. Now, it has held up pretty well considering that this shoe here has done over 600 kilometers, but some of these rubbers, particularly in the forefoot area here, and on the that's the inner aspect of the heel, this wore down pretty quickly. I think by about 300 kilometers, those were almost flushed with the whitish midsole that we see here, and it hasn't really worn at that same rate since then. So I would say that it's still usable in its current state. It's just that those rubbers do wear out a little bit faster than I've seen in other shoes out there. Having said that, well over 600 kilometers in a pair of shoes, so I can't complain about durability. The next thing is the weight of the shoe. When this was my only shoe, it felt great. I never really felt or noticed the weight of the shoe, but having then tried on other shoes, which are lighter than this, then I would say that this is not the lightest shoe on the market. Racing shoes, plated shoes tend to be significantly lighter than this. And once you get a feel for those and you go back to this, you may notice the weight. But for the purpose of a daily trainer that you may not use for a marathon, if you do have something lighter, it's a fantastic shoe to get the mileage in. Final point I'd like to mention, just about it's good for you to know if you're thinking of buying this shoe. If you're going to use it in wet weather, when this shoe gets wet, because it's got so much thick cushioning all around this, because it's got a fairly dense upper, it does take a while to dry out. So if you're going to run in wet weather, then expect the weight to increase, expect it to hold a little bit of water in the shoe, and at the end of your run, if you're just going to let it air dry, like I normally put in my balcony to just dry out with fresh air, it takes a couple of days to fully dry out. The same after a wash in the machine. It does take a good couple of days before it's usable again. So if you do a lot of running in wet weather, then you perhaps want to look at something that's a little lighter on the upper that could dry out a little bit quicker than this one here. So to summarize, this is a shoe that I've been very happy running with. It's a shoe that I would recommend to any of you without hesitation if you're looking for a daily trainer or for that first running shoe that can do it all. It's a shoe that I've bought 3 times over, and I'm going to continue running in it for the foreseeable future. And for those of you who do need a little bit of stability and you're not looking for just a neutral kind of running shoe, then you can look at the Guide 15 from SAUCONY, which has the addition of the stability elements on the medial aspect of the shoe. So you can get the same feel and pretty much the same specs of this shoe, except that it has the stability elements there. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel and helping it grow. And we'll see you in the next one.